Hello everyone. In this video, we shall prove a well-known theorem, Taylor's finite development. The statement is like this: if f of z is an analytic function in a region omega and a is any point of the region omega, then f of z has the representation about the point A as f of A plus z minus A into f dash of z plus z minus A whole square into f double dash of z, so on plus z minus A whole to the power n minus 1 into f n minus 1th derivative of z plus z minus a whole to the power n into f n of z, where the last function f n of z is given by 1 by 2 pi I integral fn of rho by rho minus z d rho, which is analytic in omega, and where the integral is taken over C, where C is a circle about the point A in the region omega. The Taylor's finite development statement is like this: if f of z is analytic in a region omega and A is any point of omega, then f of z will have the representation about the point A as f of A plus z minus A into f dash of z plus z minus A whole square into f double dash of z, and so on, plus z minus A whole to the power n minus 1 into f n minus 1th derivative of z plus z minus A whole to the power n into fn of z, where actually n is any natural number or n is any positive integer. So this representation holds for any positive integer n. Okay, so now we shall prove this result. So proof, we shall start with the given hypothesis. So given f of z is analytic in a region omega and A is a fixed point in omega. So this is any region omega and A is any fixed point in omega. So now we shall define a function capital F of z to be f of z minus f of A divided by z minus A. So you can clearly observe here. So as z is defined and analytic in omega, so f of z will be analytic in omega except the point A. As if I put z is equal to A, the denominator becomes indefinite and also the numerator also. So at z is equal to a, the right hand side becomes the undetermined form 0 by 0. That means f of z at z is equal to a is undefined. So then I can say that capital F of z is analytic in omega minus a, and z is equal to a is in fact a singularity of the function capital F of z. So first of all, at z is equal to a, the right hand side quantity becomes undetermined. So that means f at z is equal to a is not defined. So at rest of the points, so the right hand side function is in fact an analytic function. It is in fact an analytic function because the numerator is f of z minus f of a. So which is differentiable everywhere in omega, because f of z is given to be analytic in omega. So the differentiation of numerator is f dash of z minus 0. So which exists for all points in omega. And denominator, so it is a polynomial. So it is in fact differentiable everywhere. But if we consider the quotient, so quotient is differentiable in omega except at the point a. So f of z will be analytic in omega minus a. And the point a is a singularity of f, because at z is equal to a, capital F of z fails to be analytic. So further, so we shall consider the limit z minus a into capital F of z as z approaches a. So what is it? It is limit z minus a as it is. So according to our definition, capital F of z is f of z minus f of a divided by z minus a as z approaches a. So this factor z minus a gets cancelled. So what we are remained with, it is we have remained with only the numerator, which is f of z minus f of a as z approaches a. So limit of the difference is difference of the limits. So limit f of z as z approaches a minus limit f of a as z approaches a. As f is an analytic function in omega, f will be continuous in omega, and a is a point in omega, so f will be continuous at a. So as limit f of z as z tends to a is f of a minus, so limit f of a is there, f of a is a constant value, so limit of the constant is itself, which is once again f of a. So the difference will be 0. So which shows that z is equal to a is a removable singularity of capital F of z, right? So here we have observed that z is equal to a is a first of all singularity of f of z, and by this condition we can say it is a removable singularity of f of z. So in a previous video I have seen that whenever an analytic function is having a removable singularity, then we can find a unique function which is analytic in the whole region omega, which coincides with the existing function. So then there exists a unique function, say it is f1 of z, which is analytic which is analytic in the whole region omega, and and it coincides with the existing function f of z in region omega except at A. So just I'm using a result regarding removable singularity which we have seen in the previous video. So as capital F of Z is having a removable singularity at Z is equal to A, so we can find a unique function F1 of Z which is analytic in the whole region omega and coincides with capital F of Z at all the points of omega except A. So that is f1 of z is nothing but f of z for all z in omega except a. But we have defined capital F of z to be f of z minus f of a divided by z minus a. So equate this with f1 of z. So what we get? So solving for f of z, we obtain f of z to be f of a plus z minus a into f1 of z. So call this as equation 1. So just simplifying this. So take cross multiply this z minus a and send f of a to the left. You will get f of z to be equal to f of a plus z minus a into f1 of z. Okay. Now, so we observe that f1 of z is analytic in the region omega. So what are the steps we applied for f of z? So now we shall do the same thing for f1 of z. So that is, so in the above procedure, just in place of f of z, take f1 of z. So that is, define a new function, say f2 of z to be f1 of z minus f1 of a by z minus a in omega. Right? So once again, if this is the region omega, a is a point in omega. So we have the function f1 of z to be analytic in the whole region omega. So that is f1 dash of z exists for all points. So observe the quotient. So the right hand side function is differentiable in the whole region omega except the point a, because at z is equal to a, the right hand side term takes the undetermined form 0 by 0, because put z is equal to a, so f1 of a minus f1 of a 0, in the denominator a minus a 0. So at z is equal to a, f2 of z is not defined, and at all rest of the points of omega, f2 dash of z exists as f1 dash of z exists. So then I can observe that f2 of z is analytic in omega minus a. So at all the points of omega except a, the right hand side function is differentiable. And in particular, the point is a is in fact a singularity of the function f2 of z, because at z is equal to a, the function becomes indefinite or undetermined. So it is never be analytic at z is equal to a. So z is equal to a is a point at which f2 of z fails to be analytic. So it will be a singularity of f2 of z. So now we shall verify the definition of removable singularity for z is equal to a. So that is, consider limit z minus a into f2 of z as z approaches a. So it is limit z minus a into f2 of z is f1 of z minus f1 of a divided by z minus a as z approaches a. So just use the definition of f2 of z. So z minus a gets cancelled. So we are remained with limit of only the numerator, that is f1 of z minus f1 of a, which is a single term. So now we can split this. So limit of the difference is difference of the limits. So it is limit f1 of z as z approaches a minus limit f1 of a as z approaches a. So as we can observe, f1 of z is analytic in the whole region omega. So it is analytic means it has to be a continuous function. That means it is continuous at every points of omega. So in particular, it is continuous at a. So limit f1 of z as z approaches a will be f1 of a as the function f1 is continuous at a minus limit of f1 of a. f1 of a is a constant, so limit of the constant is itself and the difference becomes 0. So that shows that, or which shows that the singularity a of f1 of f2 of z is a removable singularity of f2 of z, right? So here we observed that z is equal to a is first of all a singularity of f2 of z, and now by this limit is equal to 0, we can say it is a removable singularity. So once again, here we have to use a result which we have proved in a previous video related to removable singularity. Now the function f2 of z as a removable singularity at z is equal to a. So hence again there exists a unique function, say f3 of z, which is analytic, in the whole region omega, and which is same as f2 of z in omega minus a, right? Now once again, f3 of z is same as f2 of z for all points in omega except a. But f2 of z is defined to be f1 of z minus f1 of a divided by z minus a. So once again, cross multiply z minus a or equate this to f3 of z. So what we will get? Or equate it to f2 of z. Equate it to f2 of z. Then, so f1 of z will be equal to f1 of a plus z minus a into f2 of z. Right? So call this as equation 2. Now use equation 2 in equation 1. So that is substitute for f1 of z. So in place of f1 of z, so substitute the equation 2. So by equation 1 and 2, so what we have? So f of z equals f of a plus z minus a into f1 of z is there in equation 1. So in place of that, so we can take equation 2, that is f1 of a plus z plus z minus a into f2 of z. So on simplification, so f of z will be equal to f of a plus z minus a into f1 of a plus z minus a whole square into f2 of z. So call this as equation 3. So here we have applied a same procedure two times. So at the end of second step, so we have obtained this one. So at the end of this second step, so we have obtained analytic function f3 of z in omega, right? So now applying the above procedure for applying the above procedure for the function f3 of z, so we obtain, so repeat the same steps with respect to f3 of z. So what we obtain, so finally we obtain representation of the form, so f of a plus z minus a into f1 of a plus, so this is the representation at the end of second step. So third step will be, so z minus a whole square into f2 of a plus z minus a whole cube into f2 of z, right? So the first two terms having at A, and the third term is generalized F2 of Z. So here also, so here it will be F3. It will be F3. So this is the representation at the end of third step. At the end of third step. Okay. Now, if I continue this indefinitely at the end of nth step. So continuing like this, continuing like this, we obtain representation for f of z of the form f of a plus z minus a into f1 of a plus z minus a whole square into f2 of a plus z minus a whole cube into f3 of a plus so on, z minus a into whole power n minus 1 into f n minus 1 of a plus z minus a whole power n into f n of z. So this will be the representation for f of z at the end of nth step. So this is at the end of nth step. Okay. So now we shall solve for these f1 of a, f2 of a, f3 of a, and so on. So what shall we do is, so you can observe here, this expression has n plus 1 terms. N plus 1 terms. And the highest power of z minus a is n. So to get the value of these constants, so this z minus a factor has to vanish. So then we can solve for f1 of a, f2 of a, f3 of a, like this. So to remove these factors z minus a, so we shall differentiate this equation n times, right? So differentiating with respect to z n times, what we get? So first, so just to recognize or just to see the pattern, so we shall differentiate this equation one time first. So have to differentiate this one times. So we have f of z equals f of a plus z minus a into f1 of a plus z minus a whole square into f2 of a plus z minus a whole cube into f3 of a, so on, z minus a whole to the power n minus 1 fn minus 1 of a into plus z minus a whole to the power n into fn of z, right? So we can observe here up to the nth term. So this is the first term, second term, so on. This is the nth term, this is the n plus 1th term. So up to the nth term, so each term has only one term of z. Each term has only a single term of z. Here, so f of a is a constant. Here, f1 of a is a constant. Z minus a is a term in terms of z. So z minus a whole square into constant f2 of a. Z minus a whole cube into constant f3 of a, like this. But the n plus 1th term, here z minus a whole to the power n into fn of z. So both functions are in terms of z. So while differentiating the first n terms, so one term is constant, the other is in terms of z. So we can easily differentiate by keeping the constant term as it is and differentiating the z term. But differentiating the n plus 1th term, so I have to apply the product rule. So differentiating one times, so f dash of z will be, so the first term was f of a, which is constant, so which will be 0. So 0 plus, so second term is z minus a into f1 of a. So f1 of a as it is, so differentiation of z minus a is 1 plus. So third term is z minus a whole square into f2 of a. So f2 of a is constant, so keep it as it is. So differentiation of z minus a whole square is 2 into z minus a into differentiation of z minus a is 1. So third term, so f3 of a is a constant, keep it as it is. Differentiation of z minus a whole cube. It is 3 into z minus a whole square into differentiation of z minus a is 1. So just apply chain rule. Plus so on. So the nth term. So f n minus 1 at a as it is a constant, and differentiation of z minus a whole power n minus 1 is n minus 1 into z minus a whole to the power n minus 2 plus. So up to this, so there is no much difficulty as one term is a constant, the other term is a z term. But now the n plus 1th term is, it is both the terms are in terms of z. So I have to apply the product rule. So first keep z minus a whole to the power n as it is, differentiate fn of z and vice versa. So first z minus a whole to the power n as it is. So differentiation of fn of z is fn dash of z plus fn of z as it is, fn of z as it is, differentiation of z minus a whole to the power n. It is n into z minus a whole to the power n minus 1. So this is the first derivative, first order derivative of f of z. So what will be the second? So f double dash of z. So 0 over, now this term. So fn of e is constant. So 0 plus 0. So the third term, so 2 into f2 of a as it is, differentiation of z minus a is 1, plus 3 into f3 of a is constant, differentiation of z minus a whole square is 2 into z minus a into differentiation of z minus a is 1. Like this, so on the nth term. So n minus 1 into fn minus n at a is constant. So differentiation of the rest term is n minus 2 into z minus a whole to the power n minus 3 plus, so this term contains two z terms. This term also contains two z terms. So I have to apply product rule for both the terms. So for this one, so first z minus a whole to the power n as it is, differentiation of fn dash of z is fn double dash of z plus fn dash of z as it is, differentiation is n into z minus a whole to the power n minus 1 plus. Now product rule for this one. So n into fn of z as it is, differentiation is n minus 1 into z power n minus 2 plus z minus a whole to the power n minus 1 as it is, n constant. So differentiation of fn of z is fn dash of z. So this is the second order derivative. So we can observe at every step one term vanishes, right? So in the first attempt or at the first derivative, so the first term got vanished. At the second order derivative, the second term vanished. Next, if you differentiate the third time, the third term will vanish. So like this, so if you differentiate n times, so the first n terms will vanish. So only the last differentiation of the last term remains unvanished, right? So now what will be that derivative? So if I want to write the nth order derivative of f, so what it will be? So it will be nothing but differentiation of the last term, because when you differentiate n times, the first n terms will vanish. So now what will be the differentiation of the last term? So at the first step, it is z minus a whole to the power n into fn dash of z plus fn of z n into z minus a whole to the power n. So this was the differentiation of the last term at the first order. So when you differentiate second time, so it will be from year to year. So when you differentiate second time, so the terms are z minus a whole to the power n into fn double dash of z plus fn dash of z plus n into z minus a whole to the power n minus 1 plus n into fn of z into n minus 1 into z power n minus 2 into z minus a whole to the power n minus 1 into n into fn dash of z. So at the second order derivative, so the least power of z minus a is n minus 1. So when you differentiate two times, so when you differentiate f of z two times, so the least power is n minus 1. So when you differentiate two times, the power has decreased by only 1 unit. So when you differentiate n times, so the power will decrease by n minus 1 time. So at least one z minus a factor will remain in all the terms except this one, because, so observe this term. So when you have differentiated two times, so the power of z is decreased by 2 times. So when you differentiate n times, the power of z will, so sorry, it is z minus a whole to the power n minus 2. Sorry. So when you differentiate n times, so the power of z minus a will decrease by n. That means z minus a factor will vanish. So this term, so only this term will not have z minus a factor but all rest of the factors will have, rest of the terms will have a z minus a factor at the end of nth derivative, because so see here, so accept this term, the other powers of z minus a are n minus 1, n minus 1, n. So which is at the end of second order derivative. So that means when you are differentiating two times, so accept this term, accept this term. So the rest of the terms, in the rest of the terms, the least power is n minus 1. So when you differentiate n times, the least power will be 1. The least power will be 1. So that means accept this term. Accept this term. The remaining terms will contain at least one z minus a factor. So this is a very important observation. So when you differentiate f of z n times, so basically f of z has n plus 1 terms. So on differentiating n times, the first n terms will vanish. Only the derivative of the last term will remain. And in that derivative of the last term, only one term will not have a z minus a factor, and all rest of the terms of the derivative of the last term will have at least one z minus a factor. So I have to note this one carefully. So now if I write this term at the end of nth derivative, so how it will be? So at the end of second derivative, it is n into n minus 1 into z minus a whole to the power n minus 2 fn of z. So at the end of nth derivative, so it will be fn of z into n factorial. So every time the value of n decreases by 1, n minus 1, n minus 2, like this. So at the end of nth step, so you'll get n into n minus 1 into n minus 2 into so on up to 3 into 2 into 1, so which is nothing but n factorial. So this is the only term of the derivative of the last term which do not have any z minus a factor, plus all the remaining terms, all the remaining terms have at least one z minus a factor, where except the first term, all the other terms have at least one z minus a factor. So this is a very important observation. So nth derivative of f is nothing but n factorial into fn of z plus remaining terms, where each term of the remaining terms has at least one z minus a factor. Now put z is equal to a in this equation. So take z is equal to a. Then so nth derivative of f at a will be equal to fn of a into n factorial plus, so as I told, all the remaining terms have at least one z minus a factor. If you put z is equal to a, so that term will reduce to 0. So 0 into anything will be 0. That means at z is equal to a, all the terms except the first term will vanish. Only the first term will remain. So which implies, so this gives us, so fn of a is nothing but nth derivative of a divided by n factorial. So here n is any natural number. You can put n is equal to any natural number value. So by taking n is equal to 1, 2 like this, so if I put n is equal to 1, so f dash of a, what is it? If I put n is equal to 1, so if I put n is equal to 1, f1 of a will be f dash of a by 1 factorial. If I put n is equal to 2, f2 of a is f double dash of a by 2 factorial. So put n is equal to 3, f3 of a is f triple dash of a, that is third order derivative of f at a by 3 factorial, and so on. Right. So now substitute these values of f1 of a, f2 of a, and f3 of a in the above representation of f. So what we get, f of z will be equal to f of a plus z minus a into, in place of f1 of a, f dash of a by 1 factorial plus z minus a whole square into, in place of f2 of z, f double dash of a by 2 factorial plus z minus a whole cube into f3 of a. It is f triple dash of a by 3 factorial, and so on, plus n minus 1th term will be like this, z minus a whole to the power n minus 1 into f n minus 1. So that is fn minus 1 of a will be f n minus 1th derivative at a divided by n minus 1 whole factorial, plus the last term will be as it is, which is z minus a whole to the power n into fn of z, where at the end of nth step, so the function fn of z which you will get will be an analytic function, where fn of z is analytic in omega. So this is the region omega. A is a point in omega, and fn of z is analytic in omega. So use the Cauchy's integral formula. So as omega is open, so first of all, A is will be an interior point. So there is a neighborhood around A which is entirely contained in omega. So in that neighborhood, consider a circle centered at A. Consider a circle C centered at A. So now you apply Cauchy's integral formula. So Cauchy's integral formula says that if f of z is analytic in some region omega and gamma is any closed arc in omega, then eta gamma a, that is index of a with respect to the closed arc gamma into f of a will be equal to 1 by 2 pi I into f of z by z minus a dz over gamma. So this holds for all the points a. For all points a not on gamma. So I can define this formula for all the points a which are not on the closed arc gamma. Here, so in place of f of z, we have the analytic function fn of z. So the region we have taken it as omega, and now in place of the closed arc gamma, consider the circle C. So now we can have a corresponding result with respect to these functions. So what it will be? So by Cauchy's integral formula, so we have so index of any point z with respect to, so our closed arc is C, right? C into fn of z equals 1 by 2 pi I integral fn of rho by rho minus z into d rho. So this holds for all points Z not on C. So what are the points except the C? So this is the region omega, point A, around that we have a neighborhood, and inside that we have circle C. So except the points on C. So for all rest of the points, this formula holds. In particular, consider the points inside to the circle, which are not on the circle, they are obviously inside the circle. So if I vary Z or inside the circle, so for all those points, the index will be 1. Index is nothing but the winding number of that curve with respect to that point. So index of Z with respect to C means it is nothing but the winding number of C with respect to that point. So how many number of times it runs or which circles or go round around that point. So for all points inside C, so index becomes 1. So what we are remained with, Fn of Z is equal to 1 by 2 pi I integral Fn of rho divided by rho minus Z d rho over C. So this is true for all points inside C. So we use this representation of Fn of Z in the Taylor's finite development of f of Z. So this is called the Taylor's finite development. So finally, we have this representation. So therefore, what is the representation? F of Z equals f of A plus Z minus A into f dash of A by 1 factorial plus Z minus A whole square into f double dash of A by 2 factorial plus Z minus A whole cube into f triple dash of A by 3 factorial plus so on Z minus A whole to the power n minus 1 into f n minus 1th derivative at A by n minus 1 whole factorial plus Z minus A whole to the power n into f n of Z, where so we take the representation of f n of Z to be, so by this result. So just now what we have done with Fn of Z using Cauchy's integral formula. So we obtain Fn of Z to be 1 by 2 pi I integral Fn of rho by rho minus Z d rho over the circle C, which is an analytic function, which is analytic in region omega, where the circle C is a circle in the region omega. So this representation for the analytic function f of Z using the point A is called Taylor's finite development of f of Z about the point A. So it is a very important result in complex analysis. So any analytic function in a region omega can be expanded using any point in that region in this way. So this is called the Taylor's finite development. This is called the Taylor's finite development of the function f of Z about the point A. So this completes the Taylor's finite development. Thank you.